Good morning, sir.
So, in the previous classes, we were discussing phonetics and phonology, and there is a quick recap what we have discussed. So we have discussed that these are two fields, phonetics and phonology, and both are scientific study of human sounds. But the nature is different. Phonetics is general study of human speech sounds, which are there in all languages spoken across the globe, whereas phonology is a bit specific and how the sounds they come together, they interact and make a syllable or a word. For example, there is a word like bat. Now, when we look at the structure of this word bat, we find that there are three sounds: b, a, t, and very quickly we pronounce these three sounds. And when the pronunciation is done is so quick, then we can hear one word bat. So this b is interacting with a is interacting with t. This is a sound patterning that this is how sounds they come together with each other and make a meaningful word. And likewise, when we say a phrase or a sentence or any utterance, what we are actually doing, we are we are making sounds. We are making sounds, and these sounds they are occurring in a specific order, in a continuum, and our ears are trained in such a manner that we can classify that which type of words we are speaking, what is the phrase, what is the sentence, and what is the overall meaning. Because when we take part in a conversation, our aim is to get the meaning. But this is the procedure that we produce sounds in the form of words, phrases, clauses, sentences, likewise. But when we study phonetics and phonology, basically we are studying sounds in theoretical context. So it is a theoretical context. That means we study the nature of these sounds, we classify these sounds, we will find out what type of sounds are there. So this is the area and this is the scope of phonetics and phonology. And we have also seen that the English writing system is not adequate. And when we talk about this inadequacies highlighted by G.B. Shaw, then we are talking about that English sounds or English words, they do not, or English letters, they do not correspond to the sound. So if there is a word like enough and the last two letters are G and H, but they correspond to f sound. So G and H, they have nothing to do with f sound, but this is the way pronunciation is done. So there is no one-to-one connection the way we write English language and the way we pronounce words. So this is the inadequacy. This is the inadequacy of the English writing system highlighted by G.B. Shaw. So there is no one-to-one match, and we need to learn the pronunciation of every word in the English language. So this is how English language works. We have discussed these three filters: pharynx, oral cavity, and nasal cavity. And we know that larynx is the sound source. Now, why larynx is the sound source? Because larynx gives air the sound. So when air passes through our lungs, when we are exhaling the air, then these two vocal folds they flutter very quickly. So much so they flutter more than 150 times, more than 200 times in a second. So you can see how sensitive these vocal folds are. And when they flutter so quickly, so fast, then the air gets the sound. Similarly, you have a flute, and once you blow a flute, then there is a sound. So you blow it slowly, fastly. It depends upon the pressure of the air. So there is a loud sound, there is a low sound once you blow the flute like this. But once you press the holes, generally in a standard flute you have 6 holes, and once you start pressing them, then you will find that sound is also changing. So you can consider those 6 holes on a flute filters. So similarly, you have 3 filters: pharynx, oral cavity, and nasal cavity. So sound that is coming out from your lungs, and here the air gets the sound element, and here it is modified. So let's say I am producing a sound. Now I am producing this sound. There is no modification. The sound is coming out. But if I just round my lips, then what will happen? Becomes oo. If I round my lips, we. Fine. So this is the function of these filters. They modify the sound. They modify the sound, and our ears are tuned in such a manner that we can very clearly hear the difference in these sounds. So what are those filters? Pharynx is first filter. Pharynx is this tube above larynx, and this is the uh, till here, till the starting of this nasal cavity and the end of the oral cavity. So till here, in men generally it is 8 centimeter, and women it is 7 centimeter. So this is your first filter, oral cavity, that includes tongue, teeth, lips, then your upper jaw, fine, the palate, soft palate, hard palate, all such are the part of oral cavity, and then the nasal cavity, the third filter that you have. So this diagram also you need to keep in mind. These filters you also need to keep in mind. You also need to keep in mind what is the sound source. This is the enlarged diagram of larynx, because we can't see larynx, because it's situated inside our throat. So this is the enlarged way, and the important information here is that the space between the vocal folds is known as glottis. So that is the space between vocal fold. So here we have different glottal states, and we have previously discussed them. We have also discussed what is a stress, intonation, accent, dialect, received pronunciation. So these are general terms which are associated with phonetics and phonology, and we should be clear about the difference between accent and dialect. So dialect is related to change in pronunciation, but also change in vocabulary, grammar, and word order. Whereas it comes to accent, then it is only the change in pronunciation, but not in the categories like vocabulary, grammar, and word order. So similarly, received pronunciation is not a dialect, but received pronunciation is an accent. Then we have intonation and stress. English is a stressed time language. Now, when I say stressed time language, that means every word is stressed or unstressed. So which words are stressed? Generally, the content words are stressed. Which words are content words? Noun, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. These are your content words, because you can think of some image once we say. For example, if I say beautiful, then you have some concept, some image of that word beautiful in your mind. So beautiful is a content word. But when I say of, when I say the, then there is no concept of, there is no concept of the in your mind. There is no concept of to. So that way we can say that there are certain content words, and when we use language, then we use both content word and functional word side by side. So when there is a construction like this, what you will do? You will you will mark a stress on content words. The content words are stressed. And there is also a possibility that if a word is multisyllable, then one particular syllable is stressed and other are not stressed. So there is a difference between a word like academy. When I say academy, then ka is stressed because something that is stressed is loud. Academy. Even if I say academy, you can hear ka is loud. But when I say academic, then you will say that da here is stressed. Academic. So this is how stress functions and stress works in English language. So you need to take care of stress in English language because English is a stress time language. We have discussed the difference between England, Britain, and United Kingdom. One is a country, another one is a region. Fine. And when we talk about the entire region, then there is a possibility that other countries are also a part of that. So these are different terminologies which are associated uh, with English speaking people, and at least we should know this. Then, like RP, received pronunciation, estuary English is also an accent. Now, why we are discussing estuary English here? Because previously RP was considered a prestige accent. So, estuary, the reference of estuary is simply to indicate that now there is no concept as prestige accent, because over time, if one accent is prestige, then in few decades there is a possibility that other accent will also get prominence. So this is the way we need to understand that accent is a way particular people living in a particular geographical area they pronounce or they speak that particular language in a manner. So you will agree that North Indian, they speak different in different manner English, and the South Indian, they speak in different manner. And here the difference is due to the mother tongue influence, because when it comes to South India, then there are different languages like Tamil. Tamil is one language, Kannada is another language, Malayalam is another language. So Telugu is another language. So these languages, these are South Indian languages, also known as Dravidian languages. These languages, they have an influence on English language. Similarly, North Indian, so a Dogri speaker will speak English differently. When I say a Dogri speaker will speak English differently, that means you can guess that a person is a Dogri speaker once the person speaks. So generally, there is a possibility that someone has mastered or someone started speaking in a manner that you cannot judge. So that means the person is speaking in neutral accent, or someone is copying other accent. So you can't judge from where the person belongs. So generally, this should be the case. Once you speak English, that person should not, the other person should not judge that from which place you belong. But still, if there is mother tongue influence, then you can't help it. So you are not to blame if there is some mother tongue influence. So the bottom line is, while discussing estuary English, that you must not follow some accent. You just follow the neutral accent. That means neutral accent means you are not following any accent. You are pronouncing the word as they are to be pronounced. So you are not copying, let's say, British accent. You are not copying US accent, because we have seen that even in UK you have estuary English is one accent, RP English is another accent. Then if you go to Welsh, then you will find different type of accent. If you go to Ireland, then you will find different languages and different accent as well. Then we have also discussed that when we talk about Englishes in plural, then we mean that English is now spoken outside British Isles as well. So English is now not the property of UK. So in Asia, Fine. In Australia, in Canada, in New Zealand, in South Africa, so and the Caribbean countries. So there are many people, like 330 million native speakers of English. But there are more speakers of English as a second language. So this thing we need to keep in mind, that native speaker and native like speaker. So we are native like speaker. Why we are native like speaker? Because once a native speaker speaks English language, then we understand it. And when we say something in English, native speakers understand it. So we have similar competence in speaking English language. Now this pyramid we have also discussed, and in this pyramid there is um, there is a distribution of working class language, middle class language, upper middle class language, and we have some terminology associated with them. For example, a Basilect is for working class, Mesolect for middle class, and Acrolect is for upper class. That means education, upbringing, it also has some important role the way we speak. So our vocabulary will be different if we belong to working class. Our vocabulary will be different if we belong to upper middle class. This is again one thing that is related to education and other social factors. So this is a socio-linguist pyramid, and this is an abstract pyramid. You will never find such pyramid in real, but in order to make these concepts clear, generally we use such type of figures and diagrams. Then there is always a question, what is good English, what is bad English? And to tell you frankly that in good English is a good English when you speak, then it is clearly intelligible to ordinary people. Ordinary people, that means it includes even the working class, it includes the upper middle class. So it is intelligible to all. So all is more important than the ordinary people, because we have used the term ordinary people. You won't confuse ordinary people with one type or one category, but intelligible to all. That is the bottom line. Then these are the articulators we have discussed already. Pharynx is a tube just above the larynx that we have discussed. We have discussed soft palate and velum that we have discussed. We have discussed the roof of the mouth. We have discussed alveolar ridge. Then the tongue, that is divided into 5 parts that we have discussed. We have discussed teeth and certain sounds which are produced with the help of teeth that we have discussed. Then the role of lips we have discussed, and our lips are quite flexible, stretchable. You can stretch or spread the lips like this, and you can round it like this. Fine. And your lower jaw is mobile, so your upper jaw is fixed. So the articulators which are associated with the lower jaw, they are active articulators. So lower lip is active articulator. Then lower teeth are also active articulator. Tongue is active articulator. It's movable. So this is again related to movability. So we have the movability of lower jaw. That's why the articulators which are associated with lower jaw, they are active articulators. Then we also discussed that broadly English sounds, they are divided into vowels and consonant sounds. And when we produce vowels, then there is no obstruction. Obstruction is like a block. So there is no block, air flows freely. So though air flows freely, but there is a lot of disturbance in the larynx, because all the vowels are voiced and your vocal cord, it flutters very quickly. So there is a disturbance, but there is no obstruction. So these two things are different. And, obstruction is something else and disturbance is something else. Now we have seen how we can pronounce this word mime, and as you can see, the first letter is M, and why M is a nasal. I previously also gave you this example that once you pronounce M sound, and if you press your nose, then you can't hear the M sound. So that means air is releasing from the nasal cavity. So when air releases from the nasal cavity and even your nostrils are blocked, then air will not released. So I say like you can sense when I say you can hear the sound. But as soon as I pinch my nostril, the sound is stopped. That is. So ma is a nasal sound. So why a nasal sound is known as nasal sound? This is the proof that because air releases through your nose when you produce nasal sound. So this is a demonstration of nasal sound that we have seen. Then there is one correction that we require, that A, E, I, O, U, because in the elementary classes we have studied that A, E, I, O, U are vowels, but A, E, I, O, U are letters. So sounds are like vowel is A, E, U, O, fine. So these are the vowels and these are letters actually. And these are not only the vowels, because these are only letters, but you have more vowels that we will study. And we have discussed the etymology of vowel and consonant. Vowel means vox, and what is the meaning of vox? It means voice. And whereas consonants, they come with sound. So you can say that consonant actually gets sound when they are with vowel. In isolation, vowels, if I produce vowels, then you will hear very thin, very low voice. For example, if I need to pronounce the consonant in PAT, pat, this is the pronunciation of actual consonant p. But when I say p, then you are actually not pronouncing, you are also pronouncing a, and because of that you can hear very clearly, very loudly p. So in this course we exaggerate, and in place of simply pronouncing, I am pronouncing p, because if I pronounce like this, then you won't hear. So every time when I say p, then you hear consonant as well as you hear a vowel sound, but that is not the actual production of consonant sound. Actual pronunciation is only like this. Fine. So this difference you also need to keep in mind, and this difference is highlighted when you study the etymology of these words, vowel and consonant, clearly. Then this is the production table, and we have seen the production of these sounds. So as you can see, why this table is important. This table is important because on the left hand side you have sound, and the right hand side you have words. And not only the words that you have, but they are each word is corresponding to one sound, and that particular letter is highlighted. For example, in the word pip, the p sound is production, fine. So it is highlighted. So first sound is p. Similarly, as in bib, the first sound is b. Then ten, the first sound is t. Then the first sound is d. Now this is one-to-one corresponds, like D, letter D corresponds to D in this particular word. But there are two letters, they are corresponding to one sounds, as in Thai. So when you say Thai, th, then TH. But TH has two different pronunciations, TH th and TH this, the, this and th. So p as in pip, b as in bib, t as in ten, d as in den, k as in cat, g as in get, f as in fish, th as in thigh, d as in this, s as in set, z as in zoo, sh as in ship, j as in measure, h as in hen, ch. Again, two letters c and h. They corresponds to one sound, ch. Then d and g, j, judge, m as in man, n as in now. Then again two letters, n and g. Sorry, n and g, and the pronunciation is anga. N and g, anga. L as in let, r as in ride, v as in wet, y as in yet. So it looks like j, but it is actually y sound. So this is the production of consonant sounds that you have, and then you have this vowel sound. So e as in pit, but e as in bean. So these two dots are for lengthening. They show lengthening. E, e, fine. Then you have o, pot, o, born, pot, born, o, fine. Then you have u, oo, oo as in book, oo as in boon, fine. So these two dots are known as diacritics. There is a term, diacritics is there for these two dots, and these dots shows lengthening. One important thing that is associated with this, that the middle r is dropped. So how will you pronounce this word? Burn. So when I say burn, you can't hear r sound. Burn, like similarly girl. Girl, I say girl, you can't hear r sound. Girl. So similarly, you can't hear r sound here. When I say born, born, fine, you can't hear. So at the same time, the last r in English is also dropped. So in place of saying mother, r clearly, you say mother, mother, mother. In place of saying poor, you can say poor, but in English generally it is dropped. R sound is dropped, so you can say poor, 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 ear, ear. So if you make this type of provisions in your if you make these type of provisions in your speech, in your words, then you can make better pronunciation. Let me attend the call. हेलो, हाँ भैया, हाँ कितने हैं? दो हैं, ठीक है, छोड़ दो, फाइन है ना. ओके. So this we have seen, and these are diphthongs. So diphthongs are like a move. They move from one place to another. So when I say I, then I am moving a, e, fine. A, little movement. So I as in bite, A as in bait, then OE as in boy, OU as in toe, house, ow, then pua, ua, fine, ear, ear. So how many diphthongs are there? 8. You have 8 diphthongs. Fine. How many lengthening? 5. You have 5 lengthening. A ban, like a ban. Fine. So this is the pronunciation, and I stop here. So you need to learn these sounds, and you need to learn where these are pronounced actually in words. So it's a matter of practice. And how can you understand these terms better? Once you listen to my videos on YouTube frequently, because in a class I record these videos, so the videos are available. You listen to them again and again, and the concepts related to phonetics and phonology, it will be clear. So let me take your attendance. Okay. I've taken your attendance. So this is for the day, and if you have any question, you can always write that question in the chat box during the class. Since I find no question, that I assume that there is no doubt. So I stop here, and thank you all. Thank you.